Constant comparison. Constantly measuring yourself against others is one of the most common traps people fall into. It happens almost without thinking, whether it's noticing someone else's career progress, their relationships, or even what they post online. On the surface, comparison seems natural. It helps us figure out where we stand. But when it becomes constant, it quietly creates problems. At its core, comparison means using someone else's life as a benchmark for your own. You might see a friend buy a new car and feel like you're falling behind financially, or watch a colleague get recognition at work and wonder why you haven't. Social media intensifies this habit. Those curated snapshots of other people's lives often look like proof that everyone else is doing better, even though you're only seeing the highlights, not the full picture. The real issue is that comparison rarely includes context. You might be weighing your starting point against someone else's midpoint, or their best moments against your everyday struggles. This can chip away at confidence, create frustration, and push you into choices that don't actually fit your goals, like chasing a promotion you don't really want or spending money just to keep up appearances. A healthier approach is to compare yourself only with your past self. Instead of asking, "How do I measure up to them?" ask, "Am I better than I was a year ago?" That shift turns comparison from a destructive habit into a tool for growth. Constant comparison is damaging because it pulls your focus away from your own path and forces you to measure success by someone else's definition. Recognizing this cycle is the first step toward choosing progress that's truly your own. Chasing money without learning to manage it. Many people work tirelessly to earn more money, but far fewer invest time in learning how to manage it. At first, the focus is often on increasing income. But income alone doesn't guarantee financial stability or security. Without a plan, even a higher salary can disappear quickly. The cycle is familiar. Someone gets a raise or lands a better job, then upgrades their lifestyle to match. A bigger paycheck leads to a new car, frequent dining out, or unnecessary purchases. Expenses rise, but savings don't. When an emergency hits, there's little to fall back on. Despite earning more, the stress of living paycheck to paycheck remains. At the root of this problem is financial literacy, the ability to budget, save, and invest wisely. Because it's rarely taught in schools, most people stumble through trial and error. Some avoid budgeting because it feels restrictive, while others assume higher earnings alone will fix financial struggles. But unmanaged money often leads to the same cycle of debt and anxiety, no matter the income level. The solutions are simple but powerful. Tracking expenses reveals where money is really going. Building an emergency fund creates a safety net against unexpected setbacks. Planning for long-term goals like retirement ensures that years of work translate into lasting security. Even small habits, like paying off high-interest debt first or automating savings, can make a big difference over time. Chasing money without learning how to manage it is a mistake because it creates the illusion of progress while leaving financial problems unresolved. True security comes less from how much you earn and more from how well you manage what you have. Ignoring health. Many people push through headaches, stay up late to finish work, or skip meals because they're busy. In the moment, these choices feel minor, nothing serious enough to worry about. But repeated often enough, they slowly shape long-term health. The body doesn't collapse overnight. It quietly adapts to poor sleep, unhealthy food, or inactivity, sometimes for years, before showing clear warning signs. Someone might sit for long hours every day, rely on processed meals, or dismiss stress as normal. For a while, it seems manageable, until fatigue, weight gain, or persistent pain start to set in. What once looked harmless reveals itself as the foundation of illness. The challenge is that prevention rarely feels urgent, while treatment always does. It's easier to ignore small warning signs than to build healthy routines. But delaying care often makes problems harder and costlier to fix. A skipped checkup today might mean discovering an advanced condition later, one that could have been managed easily if caught early. Health touches every part of life. Poor sleep weakens focus, stress strains relationships, and low energy reduces productivity. Simple habits, like staying active, eating balanced meals, and getting regular checkups, don't just prevent illness. They make daily life easier and more sustainable. The mistake many people make is waiting until their health forces them to act. Instead of taking small, consistent steps while it's still easy to do so. Perfectionism stops progress. It's easy to fall into the trap of endlessly revising work because it doesn't feel perfect yet. A task begins, details are polished again and again, and progress slows until momentum is lost. This is how perfectionism turns the desire for excellence into the very reason something never gets finished. Perfectionism often starts with good intentions. Wanting to produce high-quality work is natural. The problem arises when the focus shifts from steady progress to eliminating every possible flaw. For instance, a student might spend hours rewriting the introduction of an essay, leaving no time to finish the rest. At work, a presentation may be revised endlessly for design tweaks instead of being shared on time. Even simple personal goals, like organizing a room or starting a fitness routine, can stall because every condition has to feel just right before moving forward. The cost of this mindset is steep. Deadlines are missed, opportunities pass by, projects remain unfinished, and confidence drops as effort produces little visible outcome. Progress, even if imperfect, is what creates learning, skill growth, and eventual improvement. Waiting for flawless conditions robs people of the chance to grow through action. A practical way to break the cycle is to set boundaries. Decide in advance how much time or how many revisions a task will receive. Another is to focus on finishing first, then refining later once the foundation is laid. These approaches shift the goal from perfection to progress, which keeps projects moving. Perfectionism may feel like productivity, but when it stalls forward motion, it becomes one of the most effective barriers to real achievement. Work as identity. In today's world, it's common to let work dominate identity, spending long hours at the office, checking emails late at night, and tying self-worth entirely to career performance. Over time, this mindset turns into a trap, defining yourself only by what you do for a living. Work provides structure, income, and achievement. But when it becomes the sole measure of value, the rest of life begins to shrink. Relationships, health, hobbies, and personal growth are pushed aside. You might decline social invitations because you're too busy, skip exercise to meet deadlines, or dismiss learning new skills outside your field because they don't feel relevant to your job. The issue isn't dedication, it's imbalance. Careers are unpredictable. Companies restructure, industries evolve, and jobs can disappear overnight. If identity rests only on work, these shifts feel devastating because there's nothing else to fall back on. Even success can feel empty if it comes at the cost of connection, health, or fulfillment beyond the office. Examples are everywhere. Someone earns a promotion but realizes they've lost touch with friends. Another retires after decades of focus on work and struggles to adjust without the recognition or structure their career once provided. In both cases, life outside of work feels underdeveloped. A healthier perspective is to see work as just one part of identity, not the whole. Friendships, hobbies, physical health, and personal growth add balance and resilience. When work shifts, as it inevitably will, these areas provide meaning, stability, and a stronger sense of self. Treating work as your only identity is a mistake because it limits life to a single role and leaves everything else undernourished. Rest is wasted time. Many people treat rest and leisure as wasted time, feeling guilty whenever they take a break, as if rest must be earned only after complete exhaustion. This mindset frames downtime as unproductive, when in reality, rest is a vital part of recovery and sustained performance. Rest isn't separate from productivity, it fuels it. Just like a phone battery that weakens without recharging, the human body and mind lose focus, accuracy, and motivation when pushed without pause. Sleep is the clearest example. Skipping proper rest may seem to create extra hours, but those hours are usually filled with slower thinking, more mistakes, and lower quality results. Leisure works the same way. Enjoying a walk, watching a show, or meeting a friend is an indulgence. It gives the brain space to reset and reorganize. Research shows that breaks improve memory and learning, which is why shorter study sessions with pauses often outperform hours of nonstop effort. The principle applies to the body as well. Muscles strengthen after rest, not during the workout itself. Ignoring recovery leads to injury, while respecting it leads to growth. Mentally, The same truth holds. Pushing without pause eventually causes burnout, where motivation fades and energy collapses. You can see the difference in daily life. A person who takes short breaks throughout the day often returns with sharper focus and renewed energy, while the one who refuses to stop ends up drained and less effective. Rest and leisure are not barriers to progress. They are what make progress sustainable. When viewed as recovery rather than wasted time, they become the foundation for long-term health, better performance, and lasting consistency in both work and personal life. Overcommitting. Overcommitting happens when you say yes too often to others while neglecting your own needs. Many people fall into this habit without realizing how much it impacts their lives. It often begins with small favors, covering a shift, helping with a project, or running errands. On their own, these seem harmless, but together they begin to consume the time and energy needed for personal well-being and responsibilities. Most overcommitment comes from good intentions. People want to be dependable, supportive, and well-liked. But when too many commitments pile up, the hidden cost is high. Sleep gets cut short, meals are rushed, and personal goals are pushed aside. For instance, someone might stay late to help a colleague and then skip their workout, or spend a weekend handling family tasks while leaving no time to rest or prepare for the week ahead. Over time, this creates an unhealthy pattern where other people's needs always come first. The real issue isn't helping others, it's the lack of balance. Without boundaries, burnout becomes likely. You may start feeling resentful while still agreeing to requests, or you may eventually drop commitments because the load has become impossible to carry. This hurts both your own health and the quality of support you can give. When you're stretched too thin, tasks are often done with stress or half-effort. That's why protecting time for yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. Meeting your own needs first allows you to help others with greater focus and energy. Simple steps like pausing before agreeing, reviewing your schedule, and setting clear limits on how much you take on can make all the difference. Neglecting yourself by constantly overcommitting to others is a mistake that slowly drains your well-being and reduces how effective you can truly be in supporting those around you. Believing you have unlimited time. Daily life makes it easy to assume there will always be more time. Tasks get postponed, goals are delayed, and meaningful conversations are pushed aside with the thought that they can always happen later. The mistake lies in treating time as if it's endless, when in reality, it is one of the most limited resources we have. At first, this mindset appears in small ways. Putting off learning a new skill, telling yourself you'll start next month, postponing a visit to family because there will be another chance, or ignoring health habits with the assumption there's plenty of time to fix them later. Each choice seems minor in the moment, but they accumulate over the years. The truth is time only moves in one direction. Lost hours, days, and years cannot be reclaimed. A person who keeps promising themselves they'll exercise someday may later find their body no longer responds the way it once did. A parent who plans to spend more time with their child eventually may realize the child has already grown into independence. These shifts happen quietly, and by the time they are noticed, the chance to act may already be gone. Recognizing the limits of time is not about creating pressure. It's about gaining perspective. Choosing to act now on what matters, whether improving health, strengthening relationships, or pursuing long-term goals, helps prevent regret later. Even small steps, like spending an hour to call someone important or starting a long-postponed project, reflect the understanding that time is finite. The real mistake is living as though there will always be another chance, when in truth, there may not. Too old to start. Many people reach a certain age and feel that new opportunities have already passed them by. The belief that you're too old to begin something new is a mistake that quietly shuts doors long before they need to close. Age may change how we approach challenges, but it doesn't prevent growth, skill building, or achievement, unless we let it. Often, adults avoid learning hobbies or pursuing skills they once dreamed of, assuming those pursuits belong only to youth. Someone in their 40s might dismiss the idea of learning guitar, thinking it's only for teenagers. Another person in their 50s may want to return to school, but convinces themselves it's too late. These beliefs aren't about actual ability, but about perception. Starting later may require a different pace or adjustments, but it still allows for progress and fulfillment. In fact, beginning something new later in life can bring unique advantages. Older learners often have more patience, clearer goals, and stronger discipline than when they were younger. For example, someone who takes up painting in midlife can draw on decades of observation and focus, producing work with a richness they wouldn't have had as a teenager. Similarly, a career change or new business venture can thrive because of accumulated wisdom and experience, not in spite of it. The idea that age is a barrier usually comes from comparing ourselves to others or from cultural expectations about what certain life stages should look like. Yet history is full of examples of people achieving meaningful accomplishments well beyond what's considered the right time. Believing you're too old to start is a mistake because it stops progress before it even begins. Holding grudges. Grudges can linger long after the original problem is over. In the moment, holding on to resentment may feel justified, but over time it becomes a heavy burden that impacts far more than the relationship itself. A grudge often begins with a sense of being wronged. Maybe a friend canceled plans at the last minute, a coworker claimed credit for your idea, or a family member made a hurtful remark. Instead of addressing the situation directly, the frustration gets tucked away. At first, it might seem harmless, but as days and weeks pass, the unresolved feeling grows heavier. What was once a single event turns into a lens through which every future interaction is judged. This shows up in subtle but persistent ways: avoiding someone at work, feeling tension at family gatherings, or replaying old arguments in your head. The true cost of holding a grudge is often underestimated. It drains mental energy, increases stress, and makes interactions more strained. The longer resentment is held, the smaller the chance for repair, while the other person may have already moved on, leaving only one side weighed down by the memory. Letting go of a grudge doesn't mean excusing hurtful behavior. It means refusing to let one event dictate how future experiences unfold. Addressing the issue directly, setting healthy boundaries, or choosing not to dwell on it are all better options than carrying the weight indefinitely. The longer a grudge is kept, the more control it has over the person holding it. Releasing it is not just about forgiving others. It's about protecting your own peace and well-being. Taking sleep for granted. Many people treat sleep as optional, staying up late to finish work, scrolling on their phones in bed, or cutting back hours to squeeze more into the day. These habits may feel harmless, but over time they add up. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's one of the most essential foundations of health. Sleep is more than just rest. During the night, the body repairs tissues, the brain processes information, and energy stores are restored for the next day. Skipping this cycle weakens focus, slows reaction time, and makes decision-making harder. Someone who regularly sleeps only 5 to 6 hours instead of the recommended 7 to 8 may experience fatigue, irritability, or memory issues, even if they don't immediately connect those problems to lack of sleep. Over the long term, chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and a weakened immune system. The warning signs often appear gradually: morning grogginess, constant reliance on caffeine, or struggling to stay alert throughout the day. These are not just normal inconveniences, but red flags. Fortunately, improving sleep doesn't require drastic changes. Simple steps like keeping a consistent bedtime, reducing screen time before bed, and creating a dark, quiet environment can make falling and staying asleep much easier. Even adding just 1 extra hour of rest can boost focus, mood, and long-term health. Taking sleep for granted is a mistake because it quietly erodes daily performance and long-term well-being, turning what should be a natural strength into an unnecessary struggle. Ignoring luck. Life is full of effort, planning, and decision-making, but luck plays a bigger role than most people like to admit. A common mistake is ignoring the influence of chance and assuming that outcomes are purely the result of personal skill or hard work. Preparation, discipline, and persistence matter, but luck often determines whether those qualities pay off at the right time. Imagine 2 equally qualified job applicants with strong resumes, solid experience, and good interviews. One gets the offer simply because they applied on the day a position opened, or because the hiring manager connected with a small detail in their background. Their hard work is real, but timing and circumstance, factors beyond their control, shape the outcome. Luck also shows up in everyday life. The city you're born in, the family you grow up with, or even the teacher you're assigned in school can change the direction of your opportunities. A single word of encouragement from a teacher might inspire one student to pursue a subject they had never considered, while another equally talented student may never receive that push. These random factors shape long-term outcomes in ways people often overlook. Acknowledging luck does not discount effort. It provides perspective. Success is usually a mix of preparation and chance. When people underestimate luck, they may claim full credit for their achievements while unfairly blaming others who struggle. This mindset creates unrealistic expectations and frustration when effort alone doesn't lead to results. Recognizing the role of luck encourages humility, empathy, and more realistic planning. It helps you focus on what you can control while staying mindful that chance events always play a role in shaping results. Relying on motivation. Relying on motivation instead of discipline is a common mistake. Waking up early to exercise, finishing a project, or sticking to a new habit feels easy when you're motivated, but motivation is unpredictable. Discipline, not motivation, is what ensures consistency. Motivation often comes in short bursts, sparked by an inspiring story or a new goal. For example, someone might buy new running shoes and feel eager to jog every morning. But when the weather turns cold or work becomes overwhelming, that excitement fades. Without discipline, the habit quickly disappears. Discipline is different. It's about structure and commitment, showing up even when it's inconvenient. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't do it because you're motivated, but because it's a routine. The same principle applies to building skills, improving health, or advancing in your career. Small, consistent actions done daily, regardless of mood, compound into long-term results. Consider studying or working toward a professional milestone. Waiting for motivation often leads to procrastination, while disciplined scheduling, like setting aside time each evening, makes progress inevitable. Motivation feels good but is fleeting. Discipline can feel difficult at first, but it creates lasting success. The real mistake is expecting motivation alone to carry you through challenges. Discipline ensures steady effort, even when motivation is absent, and that's what makes consistency and real progress possible. Believing failure is permanent. Failure is something everyone encounters, whether it's a poor grade, a rejected application, or a project that falls short of expectations. The real mistake is treating failure as permanent instead of seeing it as part of the learning process that eventually leads to growth. Failure often feels final because its immediate sting is uncomfortable. Losing a job, being turned down for an opportunity, or struggling with a goal can shake confidence and create the illusion that progress has come to a halt. For many, this discouragement lingers and influences future decisions. Rather than trying again, they avoid similar risks, assuming the outcome will always be the same. But most success is built on repeated attempts. A student who fails an exam can still pass the course by adjusting their study methods. An entrepreneur with a product that doesn't sell can use those lessons to improve the next launch. Even in personal life, missteps in relationships or communication often provide clarity that leads to healthier connections moving forward. The key difference between those who recover from failure and those who remain stuck is perspective. Seeing setbacks as lessons rather than proof of inadequacy makes growth possible. This doesn't mean ignoring mistakes, but recognizing that one outcome does not define all future ones. Believing failure is permanent is a mistake because it turns temporary setbacks into lasting barriers, cutting off opportunities that persistence and adaptation could have unlocked. Overthinking. Spending too much time deciding what to wear, debating what to eat, or worrying about small details may seem harmless, but overthinking even minor choices adds unnecessary stress to daily life. What should take only minutes can easily stretch into hours of hesitation and second-guessing. At its core, overthinking stems from the fear of making the wrong choice, even when the stakes are low. Someone might scroll endlessly through restaurant options before meeting friends, delaying the outing. Another person might spend days perfecting a minor detail in a project instead of moving it forward. The intention is to make the best decision, but the result is usually wasted time, drained energy, and mounting frustration. The problem grows because mental energy is limited. When too much focus goes into trivial decisions, less is left for choices that truly matter. This is why many people simplify routines, like preparing meals ahead of time or sticking to a set morning plan, to save energy for important goals and relationships. Overthinking also slows progress. Even if a choice is eventually made, the constant back and forth delays action. In reality, most small decisions carry little long-term impact, but the habit of overanalyzing compounds stress over time. A practical solution is to recognize which choices are low stakes and move through them quickly, avoiding decision fatigue. Overthinking minor decisions is a mistake because it wastes valuable time and energy that could be better directed toward meaningful actions and long-term progress. Confusing information with wisdom. In today's world, information is everywhere. Just a quick search can teach you how to cook a recipe, manage your money, or fix a household issue. But having access to endless information is not the same as having wisdom, and mistaking the two is a common error. Information is made up of facts, data, or instructions. It tells you what something is or how it works. Wisdom, however, is the ability to interpret that information, decide when and how to use it, and understand its real-life consequences. Without this distinction, people often assume that knowing a fact automatically means knowing what to do with it. For example, someone researching health online might read countless articles about diets and workouts. But unless they have the wisdom to judge which approach fits their body, lifestyle, and long-term goals, the information alone won't lead to results. Similarly, at work, a person may gather endless statistics and reports, but without the judgment to prioritize what really matters, their decisions can fall flat. Wisdom is built through experience, reflection, and applying knowledge in practice. This is why advice from someone who has lived through a challenge often carries more weight than something found in a quick search. Information provides the tools, but wisdom comes from knowing how and when to use them. Confusing the two leads to overconfidence, shallow understanding, and reliance on memorized facts without the ability to adapt. Recognizing the difference allows you to treat information as raw material and turn it into wisdom through experience, evaluation, and thoughtful action. That's what makes learning meaningful and decisions truly effective. Pleasing everyone. Agreeing to requests you don't have time for, avoiding conflict to keep the peace, or constantly changing your behavior to match others' expectations are all signs of trying to please everyone. While this may ease tension temporarily, it often creates bigger problems in the long run. The urge to please usually comes from a desire to be liked and accepted. Saying yes can feel safer than risking someone's disappointment. At work, this might mean taking on extra tasks even when you're already overloaded. In friendships, it could look like always agreeing to plans you don't enjoy. Over time, this pattern leads to stress, burnout, and weakened personal boundaries. The truth is, no one can meet every expectation. When people stretch themselves too thin, the quality of their commitments declines. They may miss deadlines, forget promises, or even start to resent the very people they're trying to satisfy. Ironically, the more someone tries to keep everyone happy, the more likely they are to let others down. The solution lies in setting healthy boundaries, saying no when necessary, clarifying priorities, and accepting that not everyone will agree helps create balance. Honesty is usually respected, and those who don't value it are less likely to build genuine relationships anyway. Trying to please everyone is ultimately a mistake because it sacrifices your well-being and effectiveness in an impossible attempt to meet everyone's expectations. Screens over reality. Screens have become a routine part of life, checking phones during meals, scrolling before bed, or spending hours streaming shows. While they offer convenience, entertainment, and instant communication, letting screens replace real experiences is a mistake that slowly reduces the richness of daily living. Technology itself isn't harmful. It connects people across distances and makes information accessible in seconds. The problem begins when digital interaction takes priority, pushing face-to-face connections and real-world activities into the background. Messaging a friend may be easier than visiting them, but it lacks the depth of shared experiences like eating together or exploring outdoors. The effects often show up subtly. Families sitting together but absorbed in separate devices, people watching travel videos without ever exploring their own city, or celebrations that feel incomplete because more attention goes to recording than actually being present. Over time, this habit affects relationships, memory, and mental well-being. Real-life experiences, conversations, time in nature, physical activity, and shared moments create depth, strengthen bonds, and form lasting memories in a way screens never can. Finding balance doesn't mean abandoning technology, but choosing intentionally when to set it aside. Eating meals without devices, limiting recreational scrolling, and prioritizing in-person activities are small but powerful steps. Relying on screens over reality is a mistake because it trades meaningful connections and lasting memories for shallow convenience and distraction.